For this sample, you need 2 rectangles of fabric. To take your rectangles and pin them with the right side on the outside and the wrong side together. This is opposite what you would normally do. To sew a French seam, you start by sewing what looks like a regular seam, except that the distance from the edge is different. So in this case, instead of sewing 1.5 centimeters, I am going to sew basically about 5 millimeters. So I'm going to use my regular foot, but you could use a 1/4 inch foot to sew this seam if you're concerned about being able to be accurate without that edge from the foot. So again, I'm going to start 5 or 6 millimeters from the edge. I'm inside the edge of the fabric, press her foot down. I'm going to sew forwards and backwards and sew to the end. And again, back stitch, pull, and trim your thread ends. So this is the first step for the French seams. So we've sewn a 5 or 6 millimeter seam, and we are going to go to the ironing board, and the first thing we do is press this like it was sewn, and that will set the stitching and flatten it. And then we are going to press this open. And you might wonder why this needs to be done when you see what I'm going to do next, but it actually helps make it easier to do that next step. So this is pressed open. Now we're going to fold this right sides together and press this edge where we sewed. Watch for steam from the iron as you're doing this so you don't burn your fingers. And I'm going to give that a good press on both sides. And then we are going to take this back to the sewing machine and sew a seam along here that's actually going to enclose the seam that we sewed previously. To finish off the French seam, you now have your 2 pieces of fabric, and they are now right sides together, but you have this seam that you sewed originally inside. And we're going to sew a little further away. Last time we sewed 6 millimeters. Now we're going to do approximately 1 centimeter. So we have a 1 centimeter guideline here, and I'm going to line up on that, lower my presser foot, and so as usual you're going to go forward, backward, forward, keeping it lined up. And back stitching at the end. And again, trimming all of the thread ends. So our French seam has now been sewn, and you can see that you can't see that other seam. It's been completely enclosed. So again, we're going to press this as it was sewn on both sides. And then this is going to be pressed to one side. And for a sample, it doesn't matter which side. If it was clothing, I usually press towards the back of the garment. And you press it flat on the one side and flat on the other side. And so we have the right side looks like it would normally. On the back side we have our seam, but there are no raw edges there. So another alternative to serging, there are certain types of fabrics, in particular sheer fabrics, where this is a preferred seam, where you don't want to see that serging through the fabric, and this is a neater finish for something like that.